All right. WrestleMania. It's here. Let's get this done. You already see the title, and many are going to say, you really hate the WWE. You're such a shill for AEW. I'm not. I say the same thing. I see storytelling. If storytelling ain't good, I don't give a damn which promotion it is. Look, I reviewed NWA, MLW, AEW. I've done a couple of times New Japan Pro Wrestling. I did do the National Wrestling League. I also did TNA, which I did the most of. And I complain about them all. I tell you exactly what's wrong with them to the best of my ability. So what you see here is the truth. I'm not like everyone else who is, and I'm not saying it's JD or Alex, but anyone else is either extremely super fan or they're trying to get favor from the wrestling industry and the few that's in between. I have no affiliation with anybody. I don't give a damn. I'm just telling you the truth for what I've seen. And the truth is, I've said this for over a month now. The storytelling is not there. No matter how much maybe JD or Alex or Solomon or anyone else or Grimm or anyone else that's out there or even the Slug Daddy, when you look at how this show was booked, there was not that much. There was only 4 instances, 4, that made it relevant. 4 instances out of 7 matches. 7, not counting about the special where you got people singing, people dancing. Well, not dancing, but you get the little extra stuff that was in the show. First thing I want to talk about is a lot of advertising. Look, we had Prime advertising. We had Infinity advertising. We had, what was it? Auto Shield, I think, was an advertising. Vodka was a special vodka was an advertisement. You got a lot of advertisement there. So, WWE TKO has embraced what a corporation would do like UFC. Well, basically TKO Group Holdings, which has TKO UFC, which does a huge amount of advertising on their pretty much the UFC fights. Now WWE is doing the same thing. They made it very clear with the voice of WWE, TKO WWE, not WWE, TKO WWE, Michael Cole, to announce all the different advertisements. Now, we've been getting that for years, but it was very strong emphasis about advertising the vodka, advertising the Prime, and making it very clear that Prime is the first time Prime is now front and center in our mat of our ring. Really? Is that the most important thing to you? Having Prime advertised so heavily that you gotta say that it's in the ring. And then during the match, at least one of the matches, you got people thrown into the Prime cart with all the Prime juices there. Seriously? Seriously. Like I said, only thing that matters is this. Let's open with the match that was mostly disappointing because of a situation. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, we now found out that one of them had strep throat. Becky Lynch. She had 102-degree fever. Becky Lynch. But she wrestled in nearly 50 to 40 degree temperature where it was feeling under the 40s. She didn't look that good in the ring. She tried. Now, I want to make this clear. The match was not total trash. You could tell that Becky was struggling. She just did not have the energy required to do what she really wanted to do. She did do a good job. There's no way to know how you can lie about that. She really worked hard to try and make the match mean something for Rhea. She did. She tried very hard. But let's make it clear. You could tell, if you know Becky Lynch and how she wrestles, you can tell as hard as she was pushing, she was off. 102-degree fever would do that to you. And being out in 50-degree temperature, where it feels like it's in the 40s, in the very skimpy clothing, is going to make it worse. So no matter how much people are going to say this match was great, it was not. Becky lost, Rhea won, but it feels let down because, let's make it clear, Becky was sick. And pretty much, Becky's been the only person they had on the roster of Raw that was credible. Which makes it even worse now because they're going to have to drag this out. Let's make it clear. Because Becky was legitimately sick, she had strep throat, she had 102-degree fever. She was sick when she went out there. She probably couldn't take any heavy medication because it would probably make her go to sleep. Basically, they're going to drag this out. And they have no choice but to drag it out. Does that mean that's the right thing to do? In basic sense, yes. But still, if they didn't have to drag it out, who else do they have for Rhea Ripley to face? She's gone across the entire roster of the relevant women. The only ones that are left are the ones that are not relevant. And they haven't pushed them. So it looks worse in the long run. Not just WrestleMania, but for the long run in Raw. There's no one left for her to face. Alexa Bliss? Do you actually care about Alexa Bliss if she goes to Raw? If Jade Cargill was on there, maybe yes, but she's got a long way to go before she's ready. And I will talk about Jade in a few minutes, but this is what you got. Second match was the six-pack challenge for the Undisputed Tag Championships. It is a six-pack challenge. 2 titles are up. If you can grab both titles, if you're from the same tag team, you become Undisputed Champions for both brands. If one team grabs one title, you now have it. If another team grabs it, you got that too. And they did that during the show. It was not expressly expressed during the beginning of the six-pack challenge that you could break the titles up. They said nothing about that. They said you have to grab the titles. You grab one set and they got to grab the other. They never said until halfway into it before Austin Fury and Grayson Waller won that it could be separated. It was never expressed. So who do we have? We had Grayson Waller. We had Judgment Day. Grayson Waller with Austin Fury. You had Judgment Day. You had New Day. You had, who else was there? R-Truth and The Miz. Then you have the New Catch-Up Republic. I keep forgetting them. And DIY. This is what we had. I thought the Creeds would be a part of it, but they were not. Who looked the best? The new Catches Republic looked very good. But I'm going to be honest here. There was only one team that could win. Only one. Just one. But that was before I found out that you could separate the titles. And that would have been R-Truth and Miz. Because it is obvious how heavily over R-Truth is. Because this was all about R-Truth. Let's make this clear, guys. It is not about any of those teams. We had 6 teams. None of them mattered. It was R-Truth that mattered because he has been killing it since he came back from his injury. When he was on NXT and he tore his quad, he busted his ass to get back. And working with Judgment Day, he just got freaking over like crazy. And this was his moment. That's what this was. Even when he was completely confused and thinking he was still in a tag match, we had to tag in. Everyone got behind R-Truth. It was not behind The Miz. It was not behind DIY. It wasn't about Austin Fury and Grayson Waller, who now are SmackDown Tag Champions. And Miz and R-Truth are now the Raw Tag Champions. They decided to finally split them apart, which was the wisest thing to do because they weren't really doing a lot with them. They needed to separate them so they can try and do something with them. At least until they decide to merge them again. But this is what we got. This is the first relevant. I'm making it clear. This was the first relevant moment in the entire show. The first relevant moment. Now, let's move on to Rey and Andrade Cien Almas versus Dominic and Santos Escobar. Taking away from the Philadelphia Eagle guys, because I don't watch football anymore, so I don't know any football players now. My last time I cared about football was in 2004. That was the last time I cared. And I cared about the Dallas Cowboys back then. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back then was either one or the other, one of the two. But that was so long ago, I don't remember none of it. So when those guys showed up to mess over Dom and to help Ray and Andrade win, there you go. But when you look at this match, and I'm being honest here, the story was screwed up. You should have either made this about Santos Escobar versus Ray or Dominic versus Ray. Putting them in a tag match when Andrade Cien Almos, which made no sense. Andrade being interjected in this, instead of putting Dragon Lee in, who really did need this to really begin to build up. If this was about getting Dragon Lee over, would have made sense, but Dragon Lee was taken out. So Andrade took this moment. This felt like a SmackDown or a Raw match. I'm being honest here. The only thing that was different was those two Philadelphia Eagles, not Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm still thinking about trying to remember. I don't even remember who was on the team at those years. Oh, it makes me so angry that I know there's a couple of guys I did like, but I don't remember. And now thinking about the two guys from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't know who they are, and they helped out Ray to win, doesn't make it good for me. But still, this should have been a singles match for either one of them. And it was not. Either Ray or Dom should have been dominant in this match. Not Santos Escobar, not Andrade, not Ray, and not Dom. It should have been Ray and Santos, or Ray or Dom, and it should have been that. And this felt like a Raw match or SmackDown match. I'm sorry. It's not about it being a bad match, but it felt like that because you think one of the two guys that's on the other side, that the heels, are going to have to get a special match. And this is a special match. They just smoshed them together because it was easier that way. It's lazy. I'm sorry. And those guys busted ass. Look, when it came to Joaquin Wilde and seeing how he was working, El Toro when he was working, and I believe it was Joaquin Wilde when he decided to do that special jump he does off the second turn rope and fly way past the ring, way out into the crowd. And I think I got a shot of it in my face. I think I'm putting images in. I'm telling you, they busted their ass in this match. I'm not telling you none of them did. But the story wasn't there. One story. Not two smoshed together. Let's move on. Now, here's where people are going to say, dude, you can't be serious. You didn't like this match. No, I didn't. And it hurts me that I didn't. Because I would have liked it. And I would have loved it. But I didn't like the match. Jay versus Jimmy. And you know why? One reason. 3 weeks. 3 weeks we've gotten of a really good build for Jimmy Uso. Not Jay. Jimmy. This is where it makes me so freaking angry. Because look, how many months has it been we've had Jimmy looking like a bitch, looking like an idiot, looking like he thinks he's a big boss, but then when he's given the opportunity, he gets his ass whooped in the ring. Every time he's been losing in the ring and losing in the ring and losing in the ring unless Solo saves his ass or Roman saves his ass or someone else saves his ass. When was the last time you saw Jimmy really win a match? If it wasn't Solo who won it for him or Roman who won it for him. You have it. It's been almost 6 months. Not counting this month. 6 months they've done nothing other than the one thing he did correctly. And that was to screw over Jay when he was trying to get the Undisputed title because he didn't care about that. If they had built him correctly and made him a dominant figure. In other words, for those 6 months that he looked like a bitch and looked like he can't do nothing, they could have made him second in position to Roman. That he doesn't show fear. That he controls his younger brother Solo. Where Solo says, I follow the tribal chief. No. Before the tribal chief, you follow me. I'm your older brother. Do what I tell you. And when he faces him, He smacks his ass and says, "What do you think you're doing?" "I'm the fucking older brother. Pay attention to what I say." And he obeys his older brother, and he obeys Roman until Roman supersedes a Jimmy, and Jimmy will obey and backs off with respect. He doesn't act like an idiot. He doesn't act like someone doing that, smiling and clapping, and then gets his ass whooped when he starts trying to act like a tough guy. So this match meant nothing to me. It angered me because within 3 weeks, we finally started seeing Jimmy looking like a credible threat. But did I believe he was going to win? No. And I remember JD says that when it comes to Jay, when it was going to be like a prediction for the match, he says, Jay won't get hurt by this. Jimmy, he could win and it won't hurt him. I knew Jimmy wasn't going to win anything because of how badly built he was. It was empty. And I'm sure that JD's going to say it was a great match. And I'm sure that Just Alice is going to love it. But they're not looking at the 6 months before the last 3 weeks he started getting built. They're not going to do it. I'm telling the truth. 6 months of Jimmy looking like a bitch. And then 3 weeks of him looking more better and almost dominant. But unfortunately didn't show real credibility when it came in front of Solo. Solo just did what the tribal chief told him. And Jimmy is following along. It just felt empty. But was the presentation done correctly? Yes. If Jimmy's build wasn't such shit, and you look at the presentation of the vid pack they gave before the match, you would think this is going to be a great match, because with this section here of the story was great. And they left out all the parts of him looking like a bitch. They focused on him when he screwed over Jay, when it came to the title with Roman, and then when it came to Gunther, and when everything else in between. At least they didn't show him looking like a bitch. The ring itself was fine. The match was fine. Him acting like a coward, eventually saying, "Please stop," and then trying to screw over his brother, fine. And then Jay winning the match, which I wasn't surprised to see. It was alright. But if you look at 6 months of development for Jay, it was great. He went from Bloodline, leaving it, going to Raw, going up, winning the tag belts, going up, working with Seth, working with Cody. Now, getting this, he's here. Jimmy, he was here when he did that bit, when he decided not to be with the Bloodline. And then when Jay and him separated, he was like this. Going out of screen. Then in the last 3 weeks, that's it. That's it. If you liked it, more power to you. To me, it was completely disappointing. It pissed my ass off. It's trash. It's not about the quality of the match. I want to make it clear because someone's going to say it. It's not the quality of the damn match. It's the story itself. It's bullshit. Moving on. Now, here's where this was the second spotlight of the night. 6-woman tag. Damage Control versus pretty much it feels like the new Team Bad. If you guys don't remember, Team Bad, Sasha Banks. I want to make this clear. Many people may not remember this, because not many people really cared about Team Bad. But you had Sasha Banks, you had Naomi, and the veteran at the time was Tamina. It was not Naomi and definitely not Sasha Banks. It was Tamina who took the position of the veteran in that group, who is supposed to be the one who leads it, the one who's supposed to guide them and give them as a mentor. In this situation, it's Naomi now. Naomi is the veteran. Bianca is the one who would be in Naomi's position, and Jade Cargill will be where pretty much Sasha was. That's the way it looked. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go on continuing this. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised, because if it's not going to be another Team Bad, it would be another Jade Cargill Baddies. And you know how I felt. If anybody's seen my AEW reviews, I said it from the very beginning when it was Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan with Jade Cargill. If they don't spotlight all three of them, it's about Jade, and it's going to go flat, and it did. So if this is a new team bad, Naomi will be the one who's going to probably talk for them and try to guide them on TV, if they go down that route. You don't know yet. This entire match was about getting Jade over. They wanted to introduce Jade, and that's what they did. Now, I'm not going to say the match was bad. It was not. When you see that insane elbow, and I believe I got a shot of her, and that is Kylie Sane delivering the same elbow onto my girl, my baby, my Naomi, my Trinity. I got worried because she hit her head hard on the mat. That was outside of the ring. So I was hoping she was okay. Because at one point they showed her on the ground, laid out. And I'm hoping she was alright. But later she seemed to be alright. And in the end, once Jade had her moment to show how freaking like this she was, match was over. Jade got the pin on Kyrie. So that is done. Jade going, let's make it clear. Every man wants to be that hand. They don't mind that lick. Every woman would like to be that hand. They wouldn't mind that lick. Everyone's going to enjoy it. I know the Sleg Daddy. The Sleg Daddy's going to be going. That's a Sleg Daddy. Love the guy. But let's make it clear. This was just to get her over. To give her an introduction to the entire fan base of WWE. They may know her, but now she's had that moment to really show what she can do, at least briefly. And now they're going to go from there. That's the second one. Third moment was the IC Championship. That was Gunther versus I'm going to tell you this. Was I fond of this match? No. The story wasn't good for me. But I will not take anything away from Sammy getting over and making the match work. I want to make this clear. The story between Sammy and Chad Gable, who was better? It was Chad. I agree with everyone because Chad Gable's story from last year into this one was a much more better build than it was for Sami Zayn. Sammy's story was not as good. There's a reason why he did that, and they made the advertisement for Saudi Arabia. That is the reason why. If you actually think he just won it because he was super over, no. It was because they're going to fucking Saudi Arabia. They made the announcement. They flashed it on the screen. I don't think I got that shot, but they flashed it on the screen for when they're going to Saudi Arabia. That is the reason that happened. Saudi Arabia and the Prince. It'll make the Prince happy. That is someone that is from the Middle East. Even though he was born in Canada, he is from the Middle East. He's Syrian. So, I believe he's Syrian. So, having someone, even if they're not directly from Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. He's from that region. And he got over big time last year wearing all white with his best friend when they had the tag titles. I'm telling you, that is the reason why. That. Money, money, money. Match was good. His wife being out there, and then there was a woman right next to her. I don't know who she was. Freaking fine looking woman. She was to Sami Zayn's wife. If she was standing in front of this, that other woman was like to the side. If you saw her, gorgeous looking woman. I don't know who the hell that was. I don't care if it's Sammy's relatives. I don't care if it's his mama. She's a damn good looking woman. But in the end, Sammy did win. He's fine. We didn't have Chad Gable coming down to the ring because he said you can handle this on your own. You did get him a big hug from his best friend Kevin Owens. Fine. But this was for Sammy. It was done. Now, final match, where the fourth and final relevancy was done. I had to stop this because I know I'm going to get stopped in mid-sentence because there's only about 3 minutes left on my camera. I did not want that. I just want to do this and make sure I get my point across. Let's make this clear. If you didn't have the final match, do you actually believe this is going to be an amazing show? No. This would be a good pay-per-view, but it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be. most of the matches here, not counting the ladder match, would be considered above average to a Raw SmackDown easily. And having Jade Cargill have her moment, that could easily be done on a Raw SmackDown. No problem. Sami Zayn winning on a Raw SmackDown, not a problem. R-Truth having his moment, that wouldn't have been a problem. You would have had a maybe B show. If this was a standard, ordinary pay-per-view, it would be a B show. But this is supposed to be WrestleMania. And I'm not going to lie here. This was not incredible. Was the presentation for The Rock, Roman, Seth, and Roman, was it all done well? Yes. The presentation for them to come out was very well done. I don't know what the hell Seth Rollins was wearing. I don't know if I got a shot of it. It should be in my face. What the hell was that wearing? What was he wearing? I don't know what the hell he was wearing. But as he always does, and his wife loves his clothes. If you haven't seen Hot Ones and you see him on that show with his wife, because I did download that video from Hot Ones where he was challenging his wife and they had to do some type of contest of truth and dare and stuff. She loves every costume he has. So that's another one she's going to love. But everyone did well. When they came out, they faced each other. They tried to hype up the crowd. At first, it was kind of mixed. It felt a little bit mixed. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It did feel mixed. Then it started becoming even more confusing because people wanted to cheer The Rock. Then some wanted to boo Cody Rhodes. And then you get a mixed result when it comes to Roman Reigns. And really, Seth was the only one that got a proper type of reaction, but it wasn't that big. The Rock's reaction was bigger than anyone else's. And this is where it falls on its face. What is this about? Is this about the stipulation of the bloodline, getting bloodline rules and do whatever they can to win? Or was this about trying to make sure the story for Seth and Cody was insurmountable? It didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like Roman was doing everything he could to make this insurmountable. This was The Rock making it feel insurmountable. And at one point during that match, guess who got the most buzz when they were both in the ring? It wasn't Roman and Cody. It wasn't Seth and Roman. It wasn't Seth and Rock. It was Cody and Rock. Can you not see how bad the storytelling is? You should not have such a bad reaction. A mixed reaction like that becomes very difficult to gauge if you're doing things right or not. And I'm sure people are going to say, well, any reaction is great. Sometimes, in most cases it is. But not at a WrestleMania like this. When you got a second night and you're trying to set up a stipulation where the final boss is doing everything he can to fuck over Cody and Seth playing into where his actual MCL injury to his left knee is also being used in this situation, and Cody's mom and stepfather is there, and they're trying to hype this up as much as they can for night 2, and The Rock is the most dominant thing there. Not Cody, not Seth, definitely not Roman. It's Rock. That is a bad thing. Because yes, Cody lost. Let's make this clear. The Rock did everything he could. He whipped him with his own belt. He told the ref, don't you fucking count or you're fired. Because they wanted to go and make this an anything goes match. Because that's what happened. This became an anything goes match. Or not a false count anywhere match, but anything goes, no holds barred type of match. That's what happened halfway through it when Rock told the ref not to count or you're fucking fired. He did say that legitimately. He cursed. So it's like The Rock, it wasn't the fact The Rock did everything he could to make sure Cody didn't win. It was that The Rock was the most dominant person there. And just Alex probably won't give a fuck because he loves The Rock so damn much. He doesn't care how dominant he was. But if 3 out of the 4 people feel irrelevant, feel like they're not the goal of setting up the next night, then you failed. Because why am I going to care? Look, Seth, at this point, he lost a match with Cody, and they're trying to hype up what's going to happen with Drew. Drew is going to be salivating because now Seth is injured, and he warned him. Do I actually care about Seth? No. Do I care about Drew McIntyre? No, because it's always been about Rock. And then Roman, because at the end, when pretty much Roman finally got the pin on Cody, literally, they said Cody's screwed. Yeah? But I want to see Rock and Cody. Why do I care about Cody and Roman? I don't care about Cody and Roman. I didn't feel anything from Roman at all, except seeing he had a bloody nose at one point. I don't care about Roman because it wasn't even about Roman. It was about Rock doing everything he can to make sure the Bloodline wins. I'm not telling you that it was bad. It wasn't done 100% bad. And that's the thing you need to understand about the situation. The Rock's situation wasn't bad. It was done pretty well. But when it's supposed to be about Cody and Roman, and maybe combining a little bit of Seth's own story, but The Rock is overwhelming all three of them, where have you succeeded? Because now, with this situation where, particularly, if I haven't seen it yet, but I do know that when it came to The Rock, Muhammad Ali's wife, she gave him the People's Championship belt. She gave it to him. And he carried it out there. When I saw it, you know what I thought? New belt for WWE. Not in the shop, but they actually use it on the show. Because The Rock will be on the show, and he will be basically the People's Champion with a People's Championship belt. And they're going to start promoting that later. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. Let me ask you. Leave a comment below. I think I got a shot of it. It's in my face. When you see Roman and Rock walking back before the pyro came off. And now it's in my face. Who looked more legitimate? Who looked like a real champion? Does it look like Roman Reigns with the undisputed title? Or The Rock with the People's Championship belt? Because it looked like the fucking Rock. The Rock looked more legitimate, like a top-tier talent, compared to Roman, who looks like he's got a mid-card title. That's how bad it is. This situation completely ruined whatever could have happened between Roman, Cody, Seth, and Drew. It's not the point of Cody continuing his story or finishing the story. That doesn't matter to me. I've told you guys already, if anyone's watched me. What matters to me is knowing how far Ari Emanuel, who owns TKO Group Holdings, how far is he going to push his agenda of making it more about money than it is about entertaining the fans and making sure WWE maintains a great quality of wrestling and the stories behind them. As far as I can see, Ari's already pushing his agenda where he wants to do what he can to increase dividends to the new company that's barely a year old. Not even a year old. It's 7 months old now? 6 or 7 months already? He wants to make as much profit as he can since he's done that new merger with WWE, UFC, Endeavor that created the new company TKO Group Holdings. All that matters to him is making this. Look at all the advertisement. I'm not saying Vince McMahon was right not to put no advertisement. There's nothing wrong with advertisement. There isn't. But if you looked at how much advertisement there was, it felt obsessive. It felt like out of place. Hell, they were shoving people into the cart with Prime on it. And they were spotlighting the insignia of Prime in the middle of the damn ring. So when you look at Roman Reigns, he doesn't feel like a credible champion anymore. He feels like a mid-card champion. Seth feels like a lower-card champion. And The Rock feels like the face of the company now. Not Cody. The Rock. That's what we got. But this is just me. Peace.